Open the door, Mr. Mercer. We're here to take your son. That's how it started. 3 knocks, dead flat, heavy as a sentence, too sharp to be neighborly. I was halfway through my first mug of coffee, steam curling up, hoping for a quiet morning. But that sound, man, it's the sort of thing that puts a chill in your bones before your feet even touch the tile. Through the frosted glass, I could just make out 3 silhouettes, tall, squared off, all wrong. Not UPS, not the meter reader, definitely not some kid peddling raffle tickets for the high school band. I kept quiet, barefoot, every muscle tensing, breath slowing on its own, all that old training coming back, counting seconds in my head, hoping if I held out just a little longer, the day would snap back to normal. Yeah, right. Mr. Mercer, the voice said again, closer now. Under Article 4.7c, Homeowners Association Custody Compliance, your minor needs to be removed for evaluation. I opened the door just a crack, chain still on. What I saw matched the voice. Guys in black vests, boots, cheap radios clipped to their shoulders like they thought they were extras in a TV cop show. The leader, buzzcut, held a clipboard like it was the law. Second guy, stocky, arms folded across his chest, looking like he could break cinder blocks just by glaring at them. The last one was just a kid, nervous, trying not to look it. Evaluation. I said, that a new word for kidnapping? Buzzcut didn't even blink. Scheduled non-invasive compliance check. We received a behavioral concern about the minor resident at this address. Name him. I made him say it. Ethan Mercer. Behind me, the house creaked. No footsteps, which meant Ethan was still upstairs, or pretending to be. Good. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. I stood on the threshold, barefoot on the mat, hands at my sides, relaxed. How you stand when you want other men to make the first mistake. Across the street, Karen Blake watered her roses. Visor, tumbler, that look of someone who never sweats, but always smells like lemon. She watched, not watching, with that smile. I'd seen it on officers who thought they'd solved a war with a spreadsheet. Show me your warrant, I said. Buzzcut held up a letter, Magnolia Park Estates Board of Directors. All the trappings of official business, but no seal, no judge's signature, just a bolded 4.7c. That's not a warrant. I said so. You agreed to covenants when you purchased. Paint my fence the right color, sure. Not let men in costume take my kid. Stocky shifted, tongue pressed against his teeth, a tell. Sir, refusal will be noted as non-cooperation. That's your second new word, I said. First was evaluation. The young guy was scoping out my door, sight lines to the hallway, like he'd watched too many bad tactical videos. Where is the minor? Buzzcut asked. Eating pancakes with a judge, I said. You want syrup on your compliance? Stocky snorted, but Buzzcut didn't. This'll go faster if you cooperate, Mr. Mercer. It'll go right if you get a warrant, I said. The air was damp, smelled like wet grass and detergent. Sprinklers down the street, ticking away. Somewhere a plane coughed overhead. Suburbia, right? I counted the distance from his clipboard to my hand, the jam to the step, one bad decision to a worse one. You're not police, I said. We coordinate with law enforcement, Buzzcut replied. Refusal will be escalated to phase 2. Practice that line in the mirror? I asked. Karen raised her tumbler across the street, a little toast. I didn't return it. Eventually, I told them to get in their SUV, to tell whoever sent them that this address needs a real cop and a real warrant, not a glossy brochure. Buzzcut didn't like choices, but he didn't argue. They left, walking in unison, like they had a script. The SUV idled at the curb, unmarked, black, windows too dark for a place with kids. Karen called out, It's for the best, sweet as porch tea. When I got back inside, Ethan was halfway down the stairs, eyes wide. You okay? I asked. He nodded, but it didn't reach his eyes. Dad, what was that? I told him. People who think paper makes them right. He stared at the door like he expected it to answer. Go finish sleeping, buddy. We're fine. I closed the door. Something caught. Tape. A white corner peeking from the jamb. Duct taped, like a ransom note. For numbers in bold at the top, 4.7c. Underneath, phase 2 pending. Below that, violation, visual disruption. Fine, $75. Persistent disruption may trigger compliance monitoring. The kind of language that doesn't belong in a cul-de-sac where kids ride scooters, and the biggest scandal is the wrong shade of mailbox. Ethan stood on the porch in his socks. Is it about me? Bike on the lawn. I tried to keep my voice calm. That's all. He looked smaller, not scared of punishment, scared they might be right. That's what they want, I thought, to make us believe small things make us dangerous. Inside, Sarah pushed eggs around her plate. Ethan picked at cereal. The notice lay between us like a weapon. Sarah tapped it, fourth one. Lawn length, mailbox color, recycling bin, now this. And all of them mention 4.7C. Her eyes hard. What is that, Jack? I didn't have an answer that would satisfy. Ethan pushed his chair back, poured out his cereal, voice low. I didn't do anything. I wanted to tell him none of this was his fault, but the word stuck. Sarah looked at me. They're not bluffing anymore. No, they're rehearsing, I said. That stuck in my throat. It was true. Later, a message slipped under my truck's wiper. Phase 2. 9:15 p.m. Birchwood shopping lot. No signature, just Ethan's name, underlined twice. When I showed up, same SUV, same men. You refused inspection. Phase 2 authorizes direct action. I closed the distance, palm to clipboard. Papers flew, elbow to throat, buzz cut folded. Stocky lunged. I twisted his wrist. He went down. The young one froze, hands half raised. Phase 2 still feel like a game? I spat. Buzzcut gasped. They'll escalate. Phase 3. That's when it got real. My name. Target. Guardian Mercer. Extraction scheduled. Cops rolled in, just slow enough for the SUV to vanish. Karen's Lexus crept in behind me, phone already up, recording everything, smiling like she'd won. At home, Sarah was waiting. You smell like trouble. Ethan, hoodie up, didn't look at me. It's over, I lied. He didn't buy it. No, Dad. It's starting. Next morning, the knock was softer. Karen herself, visor tipped, roses blooming behind her, voice as sweet as syrup. You're making this worse, Jack. Phase 2 didn't have to escalate. She handed me an envelope. Safe start. Family Oversight Division. No return address. Take a break, Jack. You're spiraling. Ethan doesn't need chaos. That landed. She left. Silence heavier than before. I laid out the files Nate pulled. Photos, timestamps, audio. They've been watching us for months. Sarah's hand went white on the counter. Ethan's voice cracked. Then why does it look like they're right? I told him, you're not their mistake. You're their blueprint. The real target wasn't Ethan, it was me. Phase 3 wasn't about compliance. It was removal. At 3 a.m., they came, 3 men in black, faces hidden, dragging Ethan down the hall. I moved without thinking, shoulder into ribs, fists, elbows, the violence old but remembered. Knife flashed, chair smashed, coffee pot broken over a face. Blood, broken glass, my boy in Sarah's arms, shaking but alive. Police came, saw the carnage, the evidence. For once, they believed us. If he hadn't stopped them, you'd be dragging out a body bag, Sarah said. The board meeting that night was a circus. Every neighbor there, cameras flashing. Karen tried to keep her cool. I played the audio, her voice. Proceed. Keep it clean. They all crack eventually. The room turned. Veterans, old ladies, everyone who'd been targeted spoke up. Karen, suspended. Funding frozen. Not justice, not yet, but a start. That night, a call. Block number, calm, professional voice. Phase 4 wasn't hers to approve. We don't clean up messes. We bury them. Not a threat. A promise. Nate's warehouse became our bunker. Maps, servers, cables everywhere. The data was bigger than us. Families everywhere, blueprints, escalation plans, even my therapy notes. Congratulations, you're a data set, Nate joked, but nobody laughed. Phase 4, neutralization. Status, pending clean team approval. And the local name on the access log. Dennis, the board's vice chair. They weren't just targeting my family. We were the test. That's when we hit back. The core, hidden under a fake logistics center, protected, ugly as hell. We went in, the 4 of us. Nate on systems, Sarah on comms, Ethan on dead man's switch. I breached. Non-lethal, I promised. But the violence didn't care. Alarms, guards, chaos. Sarah fought like she'd been born to it. Ethan was steady, scared but unbreakable. Nate's upload hit 100% just as we set charges, blew the core, servers and all, before climbing out into a burning desert night. By sunrise, the leak was everywhere. News, watchdogs, Congress. Files, lists, video. Karen's voice became a meme. Neighborhoods everywhere realized the game was bigger, uglier, older than they thought. For a while, people avoided our eyes. But then Mrs. Delaney came to our door, loud enough for the world. They tried to take his boy. He stopped them. Don't forget that. Dennis vanished. Nate disappeared to Seattle. Karen's name became a warning, not a threat. But the victory tasted hollow, like chewing sand. The real players weren't gone, just hiding. Sarah held our family steady. Ethan checked the door himself now, calm, hoodie up, shoes on. Sometimes I found him replaying the board meeting, not gloating, just reminding himself that truth can win. Not clean, not easy, but win. Phase 6 wasn't in the files, just whispers. National rollout, schools next, behavioral modules, loyalty enforcement. The fight wasn't over, not by a mile. But I wasn't alone anymore. People knew. The blueprint was out. So I keep watch. Not just for Ethan, but for every family that doesn't know yet that they're already on a list. Unitas trained me for war overseas, but they forgot the hardest soldiers to break are the ones who come home angry. You know what I mean? The war isn't over. It just changed uniform. If you're hearing this, if you're wondering what one man can do, remember, when they come for your family, don't freeze. Don't fold. Don't believe they know what's best. Stand up. Because when soldiers come home angry, we protect more than just our own. We protect the blueprint. And that's how you break the cycle. Now, tell me, who do you think was right in the end? Did we go too far, or not far enough? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about what happens next.